be consistent and be on video. You can do that, you can like crush probably half of your competition.
Learning from your mistakes is the most important thing.
True definition of fear is false evidence appearing real.
To make sure that I become that person.
I could be the start of your doors opening. You can't go wrong.
Simplify it.
It's pivoting.
How to get that number right.
That's my inspiration.
We just kept going.
It's just different.
I really feel like it's a God idea.
Man, you want to buy the right one.
You all really have more money than you think.
The direct to you pay the most.
And to look yourself in the mirror.
And push yourself forward.
You still have the opportunity.
The biggest thing that's going to hold investors back is mindset.
First of all, it's the man. That's like what I'm looking for.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG Radio Show. Yes, I got another brother on the RNG Radio Show. Truly excited to have him on here because we share some common interests. But before I get started, I got to run through the intro. So he has been involved in the business and financial arenas for the past 20 plus years. Happily married for over 25 years. He is very active in the lives of his family. He serves as a minister on staff at Mount Zion Church of Ontario, where he also teaches Sunday school and serves as a trustee. He has owned multiple businesses, including 2 Cold Stone Creamery stores, and has been involved in commercial and residential financing. He has enjoyed a long career serving as a valued resource to his clients. Mr. Martin has served in his financial services arena for the past 10 years, and along with running his own financial service practices, he currently serves as a VP CRM at City First Bank. Common interest. He has graduated from Sacramento State University with a degree in business management, and prior to that, he has played baseball at the University of Nevada out of Las Vegas and enjoyed a brief minor league career. Might be asking some questions about that. But
right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I have the James Martin III on the RNG Radio Show. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, James. When it came about, as far as you coming on because of said common interest, I'm like, well, what hoops? Well, we gotta go with it. I'm like, you know what? It's a free country. We in the country where we allowed to be free and allowed to do this kind of stuff. So no, I'm glad the opportunity came up. So for those that are watching via YouTube, James has his background as far as team. So we're going to get into that. But before we get into that, I mentioned that you're a financial security specialist. Can you tell folks what that is and what you do today as it relates to that?
Absolutely. So a financial security specialist as a financial security specialist, my focus is exactly that, making sure that individuals, families, business owners, their finances are secure from what? Secure from market risk, secure from taxation, or at least minimizing taxation, and also being in a position where they're able to have long-term income that's predictable and ideally tax-free.
Okay. Awesome. I love that. And doing it over, the course of 20 years, like what's the most common thing that you come across, especially with business owners, when you are talking to them about financial security?
The most common thing that I come across, Dan, is misinformation or lack of education as a whole. And again, unfortunately, there's not enough opportunities, I say, that people take advantage of. There's several opportunities out there to become educated, but in my role, I really stress education. So what I see too often, unfortunately, is people that are not properly educated financially. Therefore, they're not properly prepared. So they're on a track for a destination that's not exactly what they're looking for. And what I mean by that is they're not properly planned for their exit strategy, for example, from their business. What's it going to look like when I'm ready to retire? Am I going to sell the business? Are one of my children going to take over? Or how long am I going to be in this thing? Is this something I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life? Then do I have enough money to retire safely and securely and continue the lifestyle that I enjoy right now? So I want to have your cake and eat it too. Yes, usually income does go down possibly when somebody retires, but again, we don't want it to have a significant negative impact on their lifestyle. So being able to put people in positions to where that's all secure. Those are some of the things that I come across most commonly, is the lack of information, and then also lack of a clearly defined plan. It's going to help them get to where they want to be.
Thank you for that. And a gem moment is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope y'all listening. My question about exit strategy. A lot of folks, look just trying to survive that first 3 to 5 years,
Sure.
whether they're starting a restaurant, starting an organization, starting that type of service. But, year 5, year 6 is like, hey, things are doing good. For that exit strategy, though, at what year or at what point should a business owner or organization really take the time to deep dive into that exit strategy and see what that looks like long term?
Man, that question is so powerful, and the answer is simply difficult, if you will. And what I mean by that again is it's right now. As soon as they start the business, day one. And why that's simply difficult is because of what you mentioned. When somebody starts a business, their focus is on profitability, paying the bills, taking care of my overhead, and then trying to put some money in my pocket as soon as possible. But at the same time, that exit strategy has to be thought of in place so that things can be in place and properly implemented over the time that you're in business. So you have a target date and you know what that's going to look like when that time comes to exit. As I said, be it sale, is business going to be sold, relative family member going to take over, or I'm just going to continue to manage it. What does that look like? So that's very important. Right now is the time to start from day one.
I gotcha. And speaking of right now, because I know folks have probably got like a bunch of questions going through their head. Right now, if they wanted to stop this interview and get in contact with you, how can they do so, James?
Easiest way. I'm old school. Call me. I'm a simple cell call away. 909-648-0944. I'll say it again. 909-648-0944. That's the easiest way. Or you can look me up on Instagram for people that are, or the social media. I'm trying to get better at my social media presence because, like I said, I'm old school. But a simple phone call or simple text, and then email is very simple as well. It's james@jamesdmartinii.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for those that didn't catch that, I will make sure, of course, the contact information is in the description below. Now, I pointed out team, gave a little tease, and I see the acronym in the background. Can you break that down and why you chose to utilize a team as far as your forefront to discuss financial security?
Sure, absolutely. So the T is for teach concepts that are unknown or not very well known. The E is for to evaluate the current situation, see what things are, see where you're on track, see where things might need to be, an adjustment may need to be made. And I really like those ones that I don't have to do much, quite honestly. Unfortunately, those are fewer than the ones that need some work. And then the A is advise or assist on a plan that will put in place to get you to where you want to be in the time frame that you're seeking. And then the M is money mindset. What's the money mindset? And how do people look at debt? How do people look at retirement? How do people look at an emergency fund? Those key things that have that proper money mindset to be able to, again, achieve the long-term goals. And team also comes from, I actually have a team. I'm not working by myself. Combined, our team has hundreds of years of experience. So it's not just me, even though I do have my background and my experience, but I'm grateful to be working with some other individuals that are highly successful and have been in the industry for over 20 years in some cases. So collaborating and putting that team together to most effectively help our clients. And one of my favorite things also, Dan, is, as I say, there's a tagline, if you will, in my email signature block: you don't pay for my services pay for you.
I love that. I love that. Emergency fund, you spoke on that as far as just briefly bringing it up. I can't recall if it was Dave Ramsey or maybe I saw it on Yahoo Finance. The amount for it, I hear, is like, the average American doesn't have $400 for an emergency fund.
Yep.
If something comes up, I've been a stickler ever since, putting my pennies and nickels away to get that, to have that set aside. From your experience, and I know you're based out in Cali, way different from Philadelphia. So y'all gas prices, traffic, among other things, it's just high. It's just crazy high. But as far as an overall around figure, or even just getting started with the emergency fund, what steps and what amount should one have as an emergency fund?
Yes, ideally, you want to have at least 3 to 6 months of household expenses / income in a liquid account. And what's liquid? Something that can be converted to cash within 24 to 48 hours. So ideal would be 12 months, but again, at least to start with 3 to 6 months is the initial number. And again, ideally long term, it would be 12 months.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
that. And
Mhm.
then with financial security, you talked about as far as, teaching those teaching those little or unknown financial concepts. What are the basic concepts that everyone should know? Even prior to talking to you, stuff they could research on their own. What are some things that one should know?
One should definitely know one of the big ones that I run into when I sit down, especially talking about retirement planning and exit strategy, is there are three options, if you will, in terms of your retirement planning and how that money is taxed. Number one is tax now. It could be like a CD investment, something like that. A mutual fund, that's something that you're working on right away that might pay out dividends or something like that you're going to receive a 1098 annually for your taxes. Number two would be taxed later. That would be your 401ks, your what we call your qualified plans, 401ks, the 403bs, those types of plans, qualified plans. Those are things where you're paying into now, paying in pre-tax dollars, and then your company might match a certain amount, for example, in a 401k, and then also you're accumulating that cash. So now once you get to a certain place, that exit strategy time, you're able to start distribution. And then three is my favorite one is tax advantaged or tax never. Three is the one, Dan, that I find most people don't know about.
You got to break
Don't know
that
that
down because I ain't never heard of it. So tax advantage or tax never, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Teach or
sir.
teach. We are listening.
And
Teach or teach.
that one's the 529 plan, which people are familiar with, maybe for college. But
Okay.
even more importantly, there's also obviously the Roth IRA, Roth 401k, because we don't have to pay taxes on distribution on those. And then the other one is life insurance. And properly structured, for example, indexed universal life insurance policy is a great resource to take advantage of that tax never income opportunity. So tax now, tax later, or tax advantage, which can be tax never when properly structured.
Okay. I appreciate that. Speaking into the mindset part, what got you started, man? You've been doing it for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Did somebody come over and say, hey, financial security, you could be part of this too? What got you intrigued? What got you excited about it, man?
Well, fortunately, I had a great upbringing, wonderful household, wonderful parents. My father owned his own own practice. He was a dentist for over 30 years, and my mother was in education. So a great combination right there. And so my sister and I got a nice foundation poured into us, but of just the value of education. So taking that a step further, after pursuing that minor league baseball career, the professional baseball career that you alluded to, and when that didn't work out, I continued to stay educated. I got my degree in business administration with a concentration in management, and was just continued to be interested in and wanted to be more and more educated about finance, even though I didn't major in finance. But then fast forward, working, had worked jobs, had 401k and that type of thing, but sat down with a gentleman about 10 years ago that totally just flipped my mindset upside down. And I'll never forget, we sat down on an appointment. I was referred to this gentleman. We sat down. He was asking me some questions. By the end of that conversation, I was very, very upset because nobody had shared with me the principles and concepts that he shared with me, had shared that before. And this is information that had been around for years. And so after that meeting, after I calmed down and started to do my research and do my homework, was really that much more intrigued, ended up doing business with that gentleman, and we had a great rapport, and he became my mentor and educated me more on this area of financial security, the resources that are available. And since then, I've just continued to educate myself more so I can be a better resource to more people.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I think the key thing is just being the better resource for all of us.
Yes.
We either have that gift that's been given to us, and folks either hide their talents or push to the side or not as active as they should. So I appreciate you, valuing that, for yourself, being that resource. In addition to that, again, and I'm speaking on mindset because we was going to talk about the baseball career. What what was going through your mind, as far as that transition, and not and I'm not certain of the story and everything like that if you could go into it, but what led to that stop for baseball and going into finance.
So in baseball came to an end, unfortunately, because of injury, as happens too much of the too many too often.
Yeah.
And but I was fortunate that I wasn't drafted out of college, so I had to kind of go the back door, go the hard work route. Got picked up as a free agent, and then the benefit of that was I was playing in what's called the short season league, which is after the draft. So that allowed me to continue to work on my degree. So I was able to finish the degree as shortly after the career ended, and as a result of that, as I said, continue to get educated and always wanting to learn, having a thirst for knowledge that my parents instilled led to me continuing to educate myself in regards to finances and business opportunities. Also, I'm also real estate licensed. I've had my real estate license for quite some time as well. Done some real estate transactions, and again, helping people with the biggest transaction most people will ever make in their lives. And then again, what do I do with this income that I'm making? Well, we owned a couple of Cold Stone Creameries. My wife and I mentioned that as well. That was a blessing. Learning that opportunity and a franchise opportunity and how that works. Being in business for yourself but not by yourself with two Cold Stone Creameries. That was a great experience. So again, just stacking all these opportunities to learn about finance. But most importantly was, again, found that it's not so much how much you make, but it's how much you keep. So you have to not only be in a situation where you're making money, but where are you putting that money? Where is that money secure? Where is that money doing the most for you, getting the greatest amount of return? And sure, there are some investments that we take, based on age and the income situation that may be more, somebody may be able to tolerate more risk. But at the same time, when we're talking about that long term, what are we going to do when we retire? That's something that has to be very, very secure. So, for example, it doesn't fall victim to a pandemic or a 2008 crash or any of those things. It has to be safe and secure and tucked away.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, James. Any success stories or testimonials from a client that you worked with, or one that you always look back on and say, like, wow, I really impacted the generation with this one?
Yes, just recently finishing up with one right now, as a matter of fact. And the reason why this one was so impactful is because I had no idea where it was a referral out of the blue. It was definitely a blessing from God, because I asked the gentleman, I said, where did you get my contact information? And he could not remember for the life of him. So again, it was yeah. It was great that the Holy Spirit led him to me, which is what I believe. And most importantly, also equally important, the fact that he and his wife are in their early 60s and looking to retire, and they didn't have a plan in place. And that unfortunately is very, very common, not so much maybe in their 60s, but 40s or 50s, and not having that plan. So we were able to sit down over the course of months. There's definitely no rush. I always work at my client's pace, wanting them to feel comfortable, wanting them to feel informed, so they're making an informed decision. And we put something in place for he and his wife that is going to afford them to be able to retire in a timely fashion, number one, based on their goals, and then also in a situation, as I mentioned, that's going to keep their taxes to a minimum and be able to present them with the cash flow that they need so they don't have a significant change or decrease in their lifestyle, and also be able to have them retire, most importantly, with that peace of mind, knowing that they're not going to outlive their income.
That's great, man. And a lot of folks I know probably listening like 60s, like, no, that's too late. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, on the other side of the spectrum, for what is it, Millennial Z, Generation X to the fourth power? I don't know. But those that are coming out of high school, if you will,
yes.
I guess for them, they're probably not thinking about it. They're getting either focusing on college, maybe they're looking into the military, maybe they're looking to just opt straight into the workforce. And I know now is the moment, but as far as having that serious conversation with themselves, when should somebody, as their entrance to the workforce or coming out of college, when should they be looking to make their exit strategy focused on their retirement planning?
As soon as possible. You already hit the nut now. The time is right now for a couple of reasons. Number one, the earlier you start, the less you have to put away. That's very, very important.
I think you need to repeat that, James.
The earlier you start, the less you have to put away. Okay. Because why? You have time working on your side. And with time, you're able to take advantage of compound interest. Albert Einstein coined compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And too many of us are paying compound interest on credit card debt, for example. And that's another story. But back to the point, the sooner you start, the better. So you can have a situation, a strategy put in place, taking advantage of a system instead of being taken advantage of by a system. Big difference. Too many people today are being taken advantage of by a system that they've used, that's not designed and put in place, structured with their best interest in mind. What do I mean by that? Again, no knock on 401k, but 401k has its limitations. For example, and just a quick history on it, it wasn't designed to be the sole retirement source of income. It was designed to be a supplement to pension, which most of those younger people that you mentioned don't even know what pension is because they don't exist anymore. And it was designed to be a supplement to a pension and Social Security. But now, fast forward, because so many companies have done away with pensions, now individuals are forced to rely on that 401k to do something it was never designed to do. So if you take a tool and you're trying to use it for something that wasn't designed to accomplish, the end result, of course, is going to be catastrophe. And that's why we're in a retirement crisis today. So again, being properly educated on information, how to take advantage of these resources, work with somebody like myself. My other big thing, Dan, is if somebody sits down with me and it's not a fit, we don't connect. However, I'm able to provide them with some information that they can go on and work with somebody else like me. That's fine too. Just want people to have what they need so they don't have to end up destitute and working longer than they choose to. Some folks enjoy what they do. That's great. But some folks are looking forward to that day when they're able to take advantage of the plan that they put in place and they've worked with a system that's designed, focused on creating the results that they're looking to achieve, and they're able to start that and enjoy the rest of their life.
I love that. Thank you, James. The insight, the gems, it's, even just reminded me, because might not be at said age, but I need to be thinking about at said age to even just have that exit strategy for myself. So thank you. Thank you so much. As we're wrapping up, is there anything that you want to leave for the audience today that they should know about? I do have one more question I do want to ask you, though, but wanted to see if there's anything that you want to leave for the audience today.
Yeah, definitely. As we close, as I mentioned just a second ago, but again, if you don't have a system in place that's designed with your best interest at heart, what I mean by that is having sat down with somebody like myself, financial professional, financial security professional, or like somebody that's licensed and well qualified, then you're, again, part of a system that's not designed to do that, a system that's designed to fail. And we look at the statistics. I don't have time to go into that right now, but the statistics tell us that it's not working long term. So, and again, there's so many different sources. I definitely encourage individuals that are listening to this, seeing this, do your research, do your homework. So when you meet with somebody, you might even have a financial person right now, do some more research so you know the questions, ask him or her, so you're able to be on track and know, hey, are my wife and I on track for retiring at 65, 67? What does that look like? Get a clear picture. And then also one of the other key points that you really hit on as well is that emergency fund. Do we have an emergency fund in place? Do I have an emergency fund in place? What does that look like? And how close are we, or how far off track are we? Those having those foundations in place are very important, because again, when even if we have a business that we own, or in some cases the business owns us, or our jobs, these are unfortunately can be temporary situations. We all know somebody that has been laid off within the last 5 years, or that might have been us. I have experienced layoffs before as well. So again, being properly positioned financially, having resources available is very, very critical. And the only way to do that is get educated. The information's free on the internet for all intents and purposes. That's one of the challenges too that I found out, unfortunately, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, but people are just lazy sometimes. They just don't take the time to do the research and do the homework. And I understand. If you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you come home, you don't want to be bothered.
Family,
But you
probably a part-time job, all that.
Yeah, but you gotta take the time to get educated and prepare yourself so you're prepared to succeed and not preparing to fail, because we know that if we don't prepare to succeed, we are preparing to fail.
Again, if we are not preparing to succeed, we are preparing to fail.
Yes, sir.
We can just stop right here, ladies and gentlemen. No, but I did have an additional question. My last final question, it was actually in regards to business owners, but looking at it and us being African-American men and, talking to our culture, I wanted to speak on or ask you about those blind spots. My question was about, for business owners listening and watching, what's the biggest financial blind spot you see, but what are the blind spots you see in our culture? And it's not so much what you can also see, James, how are folks overcoming that? Because a lot of people will say, I don't have the time. Are you watching my kids while I do the research on team? Are you going to be, I don't have $15 this week to put in an emergency fund. I barely got $1 to my name now. And with the negativity, and I've noticed that, hey, if you speak positive things will happen. You speak negative, shucks, guess what's going to happen. But from your point of view and you doing this, what are the blind spots and how can folks overcome that, especially our culture?
Especially our culture, the blind spots are a few things that you alluded to already in terms of not having the time to do it. And then even taking it a step further back, we weren't taught right. And because these type of information is not taught in school. So people get financial education from one of a few places. Number one, at home. And number two, from if they didn't go to school for it specifically, from their peer group. And number three, from coworkers, which can also fall in the peer group. So if your parents were not very successful, very savvy financially, and you didn't go to school for it, and your friends, your circle of your spheres of influence isn't that great financially, and your colleagues are broke as well, then guess what? That's why we are where we are with so many people financially challenged. So one of the biggest blind spots is, again, I don't have the time to do it. I'm too busy. And then also feeling like they're being taken advantage of. As I said, people don't pay for my services. My services pay for the people. And what that means, again, is I earn my commission, my compensation from the carriers that I work with. For example, if it might be a life insurance policy or an annuity product or something along that line. So people that, again, our community, man, oh, yeah, you're just trying to get a commission. You're trying to get, no.
Trying to get a check from me? No, I'm just trying to help make sure your grandkids are set.
Exactly. And again, with all due respect, with a little bit of levity, if I was going to scam somebody, I would try to scam somebody that has money.
Right. 1000%. No, thank you for that. And it's, we're growing to that and seeing, and like you said, the internet is a beautiful resource to research to, but yet still.
You got AI now as well. Add that in there.
That's taking care of itself in a whole other spectrum. But I need folks to realize that it's like, hey, we are not from the days anymore where you had to rely on the yellow pages to verify that somebody's, an actual business. You can just simply Google them or go to jamesdmartin3.com, or just Google somebody just to verify. So I thank you for that insight, and I'm hoping folks, understand that further. But King James, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. I'm glad we already connected on another front, but this just tops it all, man. So I appreciate your impact on the podcast. As we wrap up today, Bible verse, slogan, mantra that you want to leave for the audience today before we close up shop.
Yes, sir. My favorite verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 verses. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths.
Amen. Amen. James, thank you again so much. Definitely looking forward to having you back on the show, my brother.
Can't wait. Thank you for your time, Dan. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to the RNG Radio Show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes and future content. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at danielumstead.com. Stay blessed, my fellow